Hello everybody and welcome back, and the party have just cleared out this tomb here. Donard is walking away with a jeweled warhammer and he is more than pleased with that. That was the only treasure in it, and when they left, the mysterious darkness that had surrounded this tomb had vanished. There are two other tombs which can be seen. These hexes are 3 miles away, so each tomb would probably be in a 2-mile triangle. So this one can be seen from the top of another hill, and the party make their way towards it. And again, in this one, they can see the circle of burnt grass. But as they approach the circle, they get a really disgusting whiff of death. I have to say, I haven't smelt too many dead things. I've smelt a dead mouse and a dead chicken, and it does smell revolting. But it's only when they step into the circle does the smell become so overpowering that they have to put their hands over their mouths, because all of a sudden they see, which couldn't be seen before, over 200 dead corpses of humans and hobgoblins that seem to have died in an almighty fight. This is the scene of a battle. Carrick does kick them to see if these are ghosts, but no, these are real corpses. Yet when they step out of the circle, the corpses just can't be seen. Yet when they step into the circle, they're there. We're told that the party can loot these corpses for gold, but nobody wants to go anywhere near them, not just because of the magic, but because of the stench. So we hurry towards the door of this cairn. Liz has to bend down and check for traps. And that's a massive 100. No, she's clearly disorientated by the smell. But Donard and Carrick push the stone door open and we can all get in. The smell of the stench clears a bit and the party feel they can breathe again when they get inside. They're faced with a long corridor of 60 feet. The lamp has not been lit. Sylvia and Carrick can't see anything with their infravision. So the lantern needs to be lit, and as before, the radius of light dies off rather quickly. So the party make their way down here and they're faced with another door. I'll have both Sylvia and Liz listen at the door. Neither of them hear anything. I'll have Carrick test it for any unusual constructions. And he doesn't find anything. The two guys push it open. Sylvia and Liz have their bows ready. Malin, he's going to hang round the back. They enter into this octagonal room, which is 30 feet across, and the tomb appears to be empty. As soon as they enter, two ghostly hooded figures appear from here. These figures are in tattered robes. They're wearing chainmail armour under their robes, and even though they have feet, their feet don't seem to be touching the ground. But the most noticeable thing about them is that in the darkness, each hand is holding a glowing sphere that seems to be a perfect sphere of fire. Right, these are called weirds, and these are new monsters. This is a picture of a weird here. I think that is meant to be a circlet around its head. A weird is an undead elf. Their glowing spheres can be seen, so there is a chance they don't surprise us, but we get surprise on them. Let's roll for surprise. And there is no surprise. Let's roll for initiative on round 1, because these things are immediately hostile. And they get initiative. Right, they have 2 attacks each. This is the thing. They see Sylvia at the back here and they immediately decide to target her. Their Thaco is 16. I'm going to give them a -3 Thaco penalty because they have to throw these spheres past Donard and Carrick. So I'll do the first weird attacks Sylvia. Now Sylvia does not have her shield. Her armor class is 3. Effectively it is 0 because of the fact that Carrick and Donard are in the way. and she gets hit once for 3 points of damage, plus 3 for the fact that she is an elf. These are anti-elf creatures, so she's immediately down to 8 HP. The second weird misses her. Right, our go. Missiles. Sylvia is going to try and shoot. She has a magic longbow +1, and I have been told that the magic bow is enough to make the arrows strike. Magical creatures. And she misses. Liz is going to have a shot. And she misses. Spells. Malin is out of range to cast web. It's got an extremely short casting range. His sleep won't work, so all we are left with is turn undead, and these turn at the same level as a wraith, which means Donard needs to throw a 7 or more. And he does, and both these creatures snarl and hiss and flee into the back room here, and we are going to have to pursue them. Carrick is the only one left, so he is going to have his shot at a fleeing weird. So that weird is in retreat, so he will get a +2 to his hit roll. So he effectively throws an 11, which hits AC 0. He would have hit them anyway. They have AC 4. He does an absolutely massive max damage of 16. One weird is down to 5 hit points already. Round number 2. They don't get initiative. They have fled back into their chamber here. We run in. It's filled with rubble and debris and 2 broken crypts, which is the crypt that these weirds have crept out of. So this is an elven tomb for some reason. Right, so missiles. Sylvia is going to try a shot, and she misses. Liz is going to try and shoot, and she misses. Now everybody has at least one silver throwing dagger, which can hit them, and we have a hand axe +1, which can be thrown, or we can just melee them. Now if we do melee them, they can turn and fight their attacker, or we could just try and pepper them with missile weapons for a few rounds. I think Carrick is going to take out his hand axe +1 and throw it at the one that he attacked. He doesn't get any of his weapons trading bonus on this, but he still manages to hit, and he does 4 + 1 damage. He kills the weird that had the 5 hit points remaining. There is one left. Donard is just going to take this thing on face to face. And he hits and does 10 damage because his new Warhammer, much to his joy, does +2 against the undead. So that weird is down to 11. It's its turn, and it is going to try and melee Donard. And it misses. It needs to throw a 16 to hit him. Round number 3, it can get initiative on Donard, and it doesn't. I'll do Sylvia with a shot. She's going to get a -2 Thaco penalty because Donard is in the way. She still misses. Liz is going to try and shoot it. As of yet, she hasn't realised it can't be hit. And well, she realises that she hits it, but her arrow does nothing. Carrick runs up, takes out his sword, and yes, 9 damage. It's down to 2 HP. And Donard, with his ornate jeweled warhammer, fumbles. Yeah. Yep. He's back into that habit of hitting himself in his kneecaps. Like, this weird is going to try and hit Donard again. Oh boy. And indeed it does, for a massive 5 points. He's down to 25. We're going to be doing some healing after this. Round number 4. And it has another chance to hit Donard. Now as soon as it throws these glowing spheres, they immediately reappear in its hands, but it's using them as melee. And it hits again for another point. He's down to 24. Right. Can Sylvia hit? Her missile Thaco is 16. She hits AC3 because of the penalty for Donard and Carrick being in the way, and sure enough, she does enough to kill it, and with another unearthly scream, that weird disappears. All that's left is their tattered robes, their jeweled belts, and their jeweled circlets, which the party pick up and put into their backpacks. So the party have finished with this tomb, and when they step outside, the corpses and the smell of battle have gone. What that was all about, who knows, but they weren't quite ghosts and they weren't quite real. So they look over to the third hill and see the third cairn with this barrow tomb on it, and they decide, well, third time lucky. When they approach this tomb, it is again surrounded by the circle of dead grass. There is another door here, and Liz will check for traps. She doesn't find any traps, but Carrick will cautiously poke at the door with a staff, and it opens fine, and so the party look in. This is facing eastward, and that's kind of good because it's past midday and it is getting into the early evening, and the evening sun is shining through the open doorway and into this hallway. And immediately the party can see a lot of skeletons lying in the hallway. They don't need the lamp at the minute, so they walk in, and as soon as they do, the door behind them slams shut. Right, so they are in pitch darkness. Luckily, Carrick and Sylvia have enough infravision to be able to light a torch, which in turn enables Malin to light a lantern. And the first thing they do is, well, they try to open the door. It won't open by itself, no matter how much Carrick and Donard try to push and pull it. Liz will see if she can open locks. And she does very well, but she, as try as she might, she can't open the lock. Sylvia has a knock spell. She tries it, feeling rather pleased with herself that she memorized this as a preemptive measure. But again, to no avail, it doesn't open it. It looks like either there is another way out or we're trapped. Malin holds up the lantern and we look at these bodies, and there's a wide variety of them. There's human, there's orc, there's dwarf. There are 13 skeletons here, 6 humans, a thief, 4 fighters and a cleric, 2 elves, a halfling, 3 orcs and a bugbear. They have nominal treasure. Most of what they have is rotten away. Thieves' leather armour will have gone, and the only way we can really tell they were a thief was because her skeleton is still holding some thieves' tools, and lying in what would have been in the tattered remains of a backpack are a silver holy symbol, value 150 gold, silver incense burner, and some coins and some gems, and a short sword +1. We don't need that, and we won't really have any reason to think that it will be magical, so there is a good chance we will miss that treasure. The interesting thing about these corpses is it doesn't look like they died in a battle. Indeed, they seem to be in different stages of decay, and they're sitting in a rather, what you might call, recumbent position. In other words, it looked like they died waiting there. It seems like these people were trapped for good. And indeed, that might be our fate. So we go further in some kind of attempt to find a way out. So we end up in Chamber B. There are 3 more skeletons, probably orcs, on the floor of this chamber. The walls are decorated with carvings in low relief, including a large face which smirks at you mockingly. So we hold the torch and the lantern over these figures, and we notice there are actually 21 of them, and they seem to have been carved over different ages, and the figures seem to be of a variety. They seem to be humanoid, orc, halfling, and the 5 figures at the end seem to have been freshly carved. 3 of them are human, 1 female, 1 is a dwarf, and one is an elf. Right, I'm going to do some intelligence rolls. I'm going to roll a 1d20 to see if Malin spots anything. And he fails too. That means I'm going to have to roll for everybody else's intelligence checks. I'll roll for his sister Liz, whose intelligence is only 9. And yes, and she spots it. She spots the fact that the 5 figures on the end could be us, the party. And I'll see if anybody else. Carrick has an intelligence of 7. Oh dear, he's not the brightest. So he doesn't make another. Donard doesn't make an intelligence check. And Sylvia, she does. Her intelligence is 11. Right, and she comes to the conclusion that the 16 other figures are indeed the 16 other corpses. They seem to be the same kind of variety of humans and elf and halflings as the skeletons. They match the carvings on the wall. We look over the large face that is laughing at us and come to the conclusion that yes, this is some kind of sick joke. This frieze of figures carved in relief get added to as more victims succumb to the trap. Right, what are we going to do? I'm going to do a percentage roll for Liz. If she rolls 50 or more, she will have an angry fit. We'll see if she does. And she rolls a 4, right? So no, she doesn't have an angry fit. Who else is likely to be temperamental? Donard. If he throws a 50 or more, let's see if he reacts. And he throws a measly 6 as well, so nobody is overly angry. What I was planning is if any of them had thrown over 50, they would have attacked their figure on the wall that was there to represent them, and that would have made a change. So we've got nothing to do but press on. I'm going to see if Sylvia can find a secret door. We're going to have to spend some time in this chamber, checking all the walls. And straight up, she finds a secret door. And if we remember from Keep on the Borderlands, she was actually quite good at finding secret doors. The one time you want somebody to roll a 1 or a 2, well, this is when she does do it. Check the secret door for traps. Liz doesn't find any traps. Carrick will check it for any sort of construction anomalies. And he's quite sure there aren't any, but we'll push it in cautiously and go ahead. Right. In the chamber beyond the door, there are no finely smoothed marble on the walls, only wet grey stone and the smell of damp. There is a movement in the far corner as a shadowy grey shape detaches itself from the wall and forms itself into the figure of a man. Do we have surprise on this figure or not? I'll give you another bit of a description of this figure. It has a jackal-faced mask on it. While we assume it's a mask, it may actually be a jackal face, and it does remind us of the frescoes in the first room. But this is no jackal-faced creature. This is a living statue. So let's roll for surprise. And it surprises us. That's not good. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to throw two oozes at Donard. These oozes will stick to his armour and slowly dissolve it. He is wearing magic armour and a magic shield that will give some protection. Right, okay. And what do you know? Both of those hit. That's really bad. And they automatically do 2d4 damage each. So it's 5. And 7 is 12. Round number 1. And it gets initiative. And it's going to try and do the same to Carrick. And it misses at both of those attacks. Spells. Sylvia is going to cast a magic missile on this statue. When she does 3 damage, it's down to 26. Missiles, it can't be hit by non-magical weapons. Liz is going to switch over to her short sword. Malin isn't in position to cast web. Donard is going to try and have to strike off one of these oozes. Yes, and he kills one of the oozes on him with a get this thing off me. And Carrick hits the other ooze. They have a really bad AC of 3 and his taco is 11. So yes, he hits that second ooze. So that's our turn. Round number 2. And it gets initiative again. Right. It's going to throw 2 more oozes at Carrick. And it misses both again. Right. Our go. So we got rid of the oozes off us. Good. That was fast enough to save Donard's armor. It's magical, so he would have had more time anyway. Missiles. Our Sylvia shoots an arrow. And misses. Melee. Liz is going to try and hit it with her sword. Oh, yes. She definitely hits and does a massive 8 damage. It's down to 18. Right. Donard. Oh, yes. Does another massive damage. And it's down to 8. Right, it's up to Carrick to see if he can become Statue Cleaver. And he hits AC 4, and this thing has AC 4, and he does enough damage to kill it. Let's read a description on this new monster. Right, this is a living statue. Living statues do exist in the basic book, but these have been slightly modified. This is a rock ooze statue. These outwardly resemble normal rock living statues, but have the ability to conceal themselves by merging into the surface of a rock wall, floor, or ceiling. In place of hot magma, rock ooze statues are filled with grey ooze and can squirt 2 blobs of ooze per round from their fingertips. There's the stats for the ooze. They are resistant to magic. Ah, so Sylvia's magic missile should not have worked, but Carrick did more than enough to compensate for the 3 damage that Sylvia did. I will have to look up magic resistance. I haven't come across it before. Alright, oh well. Well, as I say, no harm done. It would have still died, but that leaves us in this empty chamber. There is no treasure in this empty, dust-filled room. But there is an alcove here, and Carrick will have enough sense of direction underground to know that that still faces eastward. So let's see if Sylvia can roll low and find that secret door. Nah, she doesn't. Well, we're going to go back again to where we were and try and see if we can hit this door open. And well, we don't have to. With the statue dead, that door opens by itself. And we are back outside onto the hillside in the evening sun, and sun is about to set. We had better do a lot of healing. I'll do the staff of healing on Sylvia. That's nice. She is up to 14 out of 17. I'll do the staff of healing on Donard. He is up to 17. We have 2 Cure Light Wound spells, and I'm going to do them both on Donard. And that is 7 plus 2 is 9. He's up to 26. We're going to have to bed down for the night, but the last thing that we notice for the evening is that our horses have gone. This fills us with alarm, and we'll find out what has happened to them next time. So I'll see you then.